glory days of a fast-fading Chicago mob, and the name says it all, the Family Secrets Trial.
For years, he was an informant spilling the secrets of the Chicago mob to the FBI.
I was told by some people at the time that he put out $1 million contract on my head.
Hello, folks. Today is August 8th, 2025, and I am Wemette. And hi, folks. Christina Morris, Scott H., Joseph Mankus, and who else do we have here? That's about it right now. But at any rate, since I had such a Keith Elton, how you doing, buddy? Smooth operator, Kathy Jean. How's everybody doing? Today I have an unusual story to talk about, or a person to talk about, and he really doesn't get a lot of news, or never did. He passed away in 1996, but he was the oldest Spilotro brother, and he was really part of the Grand Avenue crew, but yet he wasn't. He was a criminal, but he was never an asset. I mean, they used him for different things, but basically he wanted to be like Tony. He wanted to go out west. He was very irritated that nobody really paid any attention to him. He was arrested several times for odds and ends. Back when he was 18 years old in 1951, he was making $25,000 a week, every week. So he was doing pretty good. I never ran into Victor, but we missed each other by, you might say, minutes. And one time back in the day, one of the Hanson brothers, they threatened me with Vic. They called him Vic. And they said, what do I have to do? Call Vic to take care of you? And I didn't say anything. I went over and talked to Joey Lombardo at the time. And I said, what's this about? I want to know what the rules are. And he asked me what happened, and I told him. And he said, no. He said, Vic's not going to bother you. He said, believe me, I'll talk to Vic. And then I repeated the message back to them. They said, oh, my God, you didn't go to that guy, did you? That guy's deaf. And he wasn't to me, so I never had a problem with it. Joey Lombardo was probably one of the easiest going guys I ever knew. But it was what it was. As far as his career goes, it was kind of active. He was always a thief. He never had a city job or anything. He never really worked for anything. Hi, Mo. Good to see you too, buddy. And Mickey Griggs, good to see you. Like I said, Victor never really had a city job or anything, but he was arrested a few times, and he played with fire. One of the arrests, I know he was arrested on taxes and something else in 1980, but one of the other arrests that stood out in my mind where his name came out was Operation Safe Bet. And he was hanging out at a place called my uncle's place in Lyons. And he was actually trying to extort them. And it turned out to be an FBI sting called American Credit Cards. They were FBI agents. And there was a fight, an altercation, and Victor stepped in to defend one of the FBI agents. And when it got to court, the judge said in that case, he said, how do you put it? if your name wasn't Spilotro, you wouldn't even be here before me. So, but he was the eldest. And then the other crime that he was arrested for, or never arrested for, but he committed. There's no doubt in my mind about this, because I went on a trip with an ATF agent to actually get involved in this one, and that was Helen Brock. It was a spinoff on the Schuessler-Peterson murders, but Joe Plemons and somebody else testified that Victor Spilotro was there. He was also a close associate of Richard Bailey, which I didn't know. Richard Bailey was at Northwestern Stables, but he was. They said he was a very close associate of Joey Lombardo also, and he was also a close associate of Milwaukee Phil. All the same people that were the Grand Avenue crew, basically. So he was kind of like Tony, but as I remember him, he was kind of like Michael in a lot of ways. He lived off of Tony's reputation. The Spilotro name meant a lot, and he lived off of that reputation. He dropped that name, or he'd just say his own name, and they say, "Are you related to?" Yeah, and they feared him. He was a short guy, just like all of them. They were all short, in height, and he stayed pretty much underneath the radar, more than Michael did, a lot more, and probably just as much as Patrick. Patrick Spilotro stayed underneath the radar. Patrick is the only one that finished high school and became a oral surgeon and doctor. But all the rest of them dropped out of high school. Some didn't last their freshman year, and bang, they were gone. Just the way it was. Did they come up in the toughest of times? No. They were just not really I guess nobody really cared in their family. If they did care, they would have done something. But Victor was a family man. He had 2 children. There's so much that's not known about him because he didn't make the news, and he certainly wasn't in the movie Casino. And that really brings a lot to a lot of things. Most people have a vision of Tony Spilotro about what they saw in the movie Casino. And that is not at all what he was like. I don't really know for sure what Victor was like because, like I said, I didn't really know him. We didn't cross paths. Had I probably could have told you more. He was it's kind of like a legend. He did walk in the footsteps of his brother, and he was a bit different. He wanted to be part of the outfit. They didn't take him. He was more or less like an associate. I'm sure he kicked up 20% of everything he did. And like I said, he had no job that anybody knows about. There's no reference. Bill Davison, how are you? William? How you doing, buddy? So, how he was involved with Helen Brock, the murder of Helen Brock. They call it the disappearance because there was no body found. And this was something that was part of my FBI record. I had been to inland steel mills with Tony Spilotro, and Kurt Hansen. And after Michael and I don't know, I didn't know that much about Michael. Let me go back. I'm trying to think and remember exactly. so I don't make a mistake on this. But what had happened was in 1977, Helen Brock was kidnapped. And like I said, Bailey and Richard Bailey and Victor were close. But the order actually came from Silas Jane. But then again, he used people that were rougher than he was. He had money and he was willing to pay. But Victor, I know for a fact, was at Sky High Stables at 17201 Central Avenue in Tinley Park, Illinois, when Joe Clemens was there, because he testified to it. He also took a polygraph, and he took a ruby ring off of Helen Brock's hand or finger as it fell out of something she was wrapped in. And there was a moan, and she kind of moved. And according to his testimony, Kurt Hansen gave him what he called Mother's Helper, which was a 16 gauge sawed-off shotgun. It was probably only about that big. I mean, it had a pistol grip. I used to hold it a lot, I know. But he put the last shot into her, the coup de grace that killed her. She was laying in the, you could drive into the indoor arena at Sky High Stables. And right after that, Ken Hansen changed it to Camelot Stables. Before then, it was Sky High Stables. But he also said once there was a spot called Camelot, and then there was not. So Victor, according to Joe Clemens, they got in the car and they drove to the station wagon, and they drove to East Chicago, Indiana, to the inland steel mills. And they dropped her into a vat. And at the time, I didn't know what was going on, but John Rotuno of the ATF was asking me, what was it like? And, because he saw my report, and he said, what was it like there? And can you describe it to me? And I did, because he wanted independent corroboration. And I described the railroad tracks, the trains. I said I was there with Kurt, which I was. I was there with Kurt and Tony many years before this. And I said they dropped bodies off there. They got rid of bodies there. And I explained how. And I also told them about a vending machine that was pushed off of like a fire escape where you go up. This is inside the building. And it was pushed off of the fire escape into the vat. And it was kind of like a flare up, and it was melted instantly. I don't know how hot those things were, but they were hot. I never really, I was hot when I was in there. And I was a young man when I was in there. Okay, Jim Jager, how you doing, buddy? Health announcement. J-Babe, how you doing? My tag, my yag, okay. At any rate, it was something that he did. Now, if you look under Wikipedia, it talks about it, but it says he was never indicted. The reason he wasn't indicted was because when it was discovered, it was after 95, when we'd already arrested Hansen, Kenneth Hansen, and he was convicted. But he died in 1996. I think he was 66 years old when he died. Didn't live that long. But he was never indicted. And nobody was indicted on that murder. The only person that ever went to jail or anything for that was prison was Richard Bailey. And the judge was just wrong on that one. Bailey committed a lot of crimes, but he didn't conspire to kill Helen Brock. She was his meal ticket. She was worth millions of dollars and spending it on him on an everyday basis. He had his Rolls Royce from her. He had horses from her. He had access to her condo in Palm Beach. He had just about everything, and lost it all when he pled guilty to a crime that he didn't read the fine print on, and he went away to jail. I remember watching an interview with him, and I knew Vic was responsible, but I remember watching this interview, and he said he was in prison, and he said, if I knew who did this, do you think I'd still be here in prison? I mean, he was at Eglin Air Force Base. He had his light duty prison, but it was bad, very bad. Anyway, which big subject. How you doing, Chain Weaver? So, Victor was, I would say, pretty rough guy. I mean, several people said that he did a lot of things, especially in Lions. You know, if you get out that's Berwyn-Cicero area, he got around. He was tough, very tough guy. How you doing, Greg? Yeah, it has been a while. How you doing, buddy? I'm usually on a Monday, and Monday I'm going to ask Joe Salozzi if he'll be on with me, and if not, we'll find something else to talk about. I'm sure I have a list of things. Anywho, being that it's Friday, this show was supposed to go Monday, and what happened was Monday somebody hit my power, the power pole where I live, and sparks and everything, and the transformer went down, so I didn't have any electricity, and I left here and went to a place where there was electricity because it is very warm down here. But Tuesday, I was talking to somebody trying to get my credit straightened out, and it's not my credit itself. Somebody, I don't know how they did it, and they couldn't explain it to me, but all three credit bureaus had my credit status as compromised, and not to issue any new credit cards and not to issue any credit at all to me without a comprehensive backup of my personal information, which they wanted to provide, which they didn't have. So meanwhile, they wanted me to give them what I had. That didn't work. I spent hours on the phone on a Tuesday afternoon when I was supposed to actually have the show fly. It didn't happen. And then Wednesday, I had my show with Adam. So that didn't happen. It is what it is. Thursday, I had some place to go. And it just didn't work. Adam actually, we did a show together Thursday, and it was the biggest flop. So, but today is Friday, and we're having a good weekend, I hope. I will be here Monday, as long as we don't have power outages or any strange things happen. Anyone know? That is what I'm going to, Tim. That is what I got a message from Joe Salozzi. And he said, could you have me on the show and we could talk about the new movie coming up with my brother? And so I have to get back to him, but it may be Monday. That may be what we're doing Monday, if he's available. Definitely, that's what it'll be. Deborah Day, how you doing on this hot day in California? Yeah, well, it's hot here too. I'm in Florida, and it's hot, very hot. Anywho, Any questions about Victor that I might be able to answer? No questions. Okay. Mo, that's a good question. None. The last one just died, John Spilotro. And I've got people asking me in messages, is he going to be buried at Queen of Heaven? Like all of his brothers are married in Chicago, and they're buried in Chicago at Queen of Heaven Cemetery. Actually, it's in Hillside. And let's say nobody knows. The family, John Spilotro was kind of a straight arrow, and he was an attorney, lived out in Las Vegas. But that was it. Yes, Vic had 2 children, a son and a daughter. His son is a junior, named after him. Did Victor die in prison? No, he did not. Victor died in a nursing care in Wheeling, Illinois in 1996. Chicago Alpha Files. Whatever you do, don't have that dummy Anthony DiMartini in the show. Anthony, I played your intro on the show when I started up, and I played it before too. So, no, you're not a dummy guy. I forget what they call that, self deprecation or whatever. You're a great man. Love you, buddy. Keith Elton. I remember seeing a picture of him probably after a pinch. He appeared to be roughed up. Yeah, he had a tendency to, he got into a lot of fights. He really did. William Davison, didn't Victor protect the Lions operations in the early 80s? He tried to. he tried to extort my brother's place, which was also run and owned by George Bulahanis and his brother Nick Bulahanis and several other savory characters. But he went into, I'm repeating this for you, Bill. There was a credit card company there, and it was a sting company. They were FBI agents. And he went over and told them that he would give them protection. Needless to say, he was arrested, indicted and arrested, taken. He wasn't taken away on the spot, but they came and picked him up. They knew where to get him. And yeah, he tried to sell protection to a lot of people. He wasn't very successful, but he was a successful thief, and he was a successful con man. I know he did a lot of business aside with Bailey. He did a lot of business with other people in the horse business. At one time, Ken Hansen told me that he picked out a horse for his son, and his son was a professional rider. So I don't know. He had a lot of money. Spent a lot of money, and he was close to Cy Jane too. So just what it was. That's a very good interview, Tim, that Anthony DiMartini did. And, you know, if that's what his daughter thinks, that there was a CIA person, she says, that could have killed her father, that's probably what it was. I like that video. Anthony did a great job on that. Dr. Pratt was pretty tough too. He had hands like catcher's mitts. Did great dentistry though. Well, I never saw him, but allegedly there wasn't any of them that was taller than 5'3". That was it. They were all small people. All 5 brothers. Or was it 6? I forget. There was Vincent. There was Victor first. He was the oldest. And then there was Pat, Vincent, John. Let me count them here. I got to count on my fingers, folks. There was Victor, Vincent, that's 2. There was Pat, that's 3. There was Tony, that's 4. And Michael, that's 5. And John, that's 6. So there were 6 brothers. And they're all gone now. But like I said, Victor died in the 90s, 1996. He was only 66 years old. He was born in 1933. He was only 66 years old when he passed on. But he had a colorful life. He just, like Michael, he lived off of his name and Tony's reputation. Chicago Outfit Files. They don't build us Dagos that big. At 6'2", I was considered a giant. No doubt I've seen you, Anthony. I'm sure around Italian folks, they'd have looked at you as a Luca Brasi. Big guy. Luca. Anyway, that's about what it's all about, folks. Any other questions about Vic? Or questions in general? No, Rico, they weren't. And really, according to other people, even though Vic Spilotro was known, he didn't get made until the 90s. And some people suspected that he had conversations with Jimmy Marcello. And he knew the actual truth about what happened to him. Evidently, he didn't talk to Pat. But they were all thieves, except for John and Pat. John and Pat. John was an attorney, and he just passed away. And Pat was a doctor, a dentist, an oral surgeon. Mo, yes, I'd really like to know, was there ever any revenge for Tony's death, either by his brothers or anybody from the outfit? No, there was not. There was not, Mo. And I really believe Michael was under indictment at that time. Michael was also involved in the extortion of something at that time. And he was involved. He was under indictment. So he was tossing Joya Yupa's name around and doing some things. So I don't think that he was really killed just because he was there. I think they wanted to kill him. It was a 2-for-1 deal, but it was nothing like the movie Casino. No retaliations. Believe me, nobody wanted to retaliate. I mean, it happened. It's one of those things where I believe they earned their way to what happened. I didn't know what happened. You know, I didn't know Tony that way. So it was just, like I said, they earned their way to the death that way. But nobody else was really connected in the outfit. Like I said, Victor was, I believe in 1992. He died in 96. But in 92, he was taken in as a maid guy. But he was old by then. Very old. Here we go with a rumor. Leave it to you, Tim, to come up with a rumor. Is there any truth to the rumor that they were buried in the farmer's field because the property next door had too many trees and roots, and it was close to? Yes, there's a lot of truth to that. Michael and Tony were buried on that burial detail. What happened was they told them to bury them in the woods there because that was at one time Joya Yupa's property. That property belonged to Joya Yupa at one time. And they went over there, and there was a problem with the roots and everything. Actually, the person that went into detail on this was the wife of one of the guys that was on the burial detail. Can't remember his name, but she testified against her husband. And I was surprised that this whole thing didn't come out then, that they waited as long as they did. But they couldn't. They could have dug through the roots. They were lazy. There was this soft soil right next door, and that's who it was. Betty Taco, Albert Taco. His story. It was all on tape. It was all on tape, guy. But he was in charge of that burial detail, and he screwed it up. But it was him and the guys, I guess, I don't know. I wasn't there. If it was just him alone, or maybe it was all the guys that were there said, this is insane. We can't dig through this stuff. We're going to go over here like, 20, 30 feet. And we're going to dig in the soft soil, which was kind of sandy. Indiana is like that. So that's what really happened. Thank you for helping me, guys. I really appreciate it. I like the way you say that, Anthony. He was a real sweetheart too. They were all sweethearts. Chumps, really. But that was a good question, Tim. A lot of people don't understand it. They watch the movie Casino, or they read different things about something that somebody was written. I really took an interest in it for other reasons. Not because, just because I wanted to know. Tony was a friend of mine. So I knew way back then. And when Schweiss told me about it, that was 1986 that he told me about it. And I got to a U.S. attorney and got my apartment wired in 1987 and into 1988. And Schweiss had told me all about it. And there's a few characters that say, oh, no, that never happened. Well, I guess you guys never saw what I saw. Chicago Alpha Files. He was one of those guys that would be pissed off if he didn't wake up. Wake up pissed off. Caustic personality. I don't know. I just really didn't know. But Taco, when Betty Taco, when she talked about, and she got on the stand, talked about it, I don't know why that trial wasn't held then. Should have been. Odd you should say that, Tim, because way back, there was an FBI agent told me the same thing. They said, Red, you're a piece of living history. You're a walking, talking vault of information. And that was way back when. He was an FBI agent. But it was one of those things. Chainweaver, if you haven't yet, smash that like button or else. Or else what? I love you, buddy. So how many people would like to see Joe Salozzi on here talking about his brother's new epic film that's coming out? and it's supposed to be, I think it's going to be out in 2026, sometime next year. And let's go back and see what it was. What was the name of it? I forgot what the name was. Tim, help me out. What's the name of the new film? You would like to see it. Do you know the name of the film, Tim? Because I'm going to contact Joe. Joe just contacted me earlier, maybe about noon, and said he left me a message and said he actually showed me a trailer for the movie. I don't know if it's available by anybody. Redman can't with assassination. I don't know. Me too. Okay, we got a lot of people say they want to watch it. I'm going to take a look here and see exactly what the name of it is. And I'll tell you. But here's my exact message. He said, it says Beyond the Big Screen, 2 days in November. 2 days in November, Sam Giancana, and it's got the blank. And you can watch it on YouTube if you like. That 2 days in November, it is what it is. But what I can tell you is the message that I have after that is from Joe Solozzi. He said, let me know if I can come talk about the movie. Finally, I'm getting calls to go on podcasts, national show-ups, but I'd like to go on yours first. Whenever the video is coming out, let me know what to send you and what I can do, and a lot of information we can discuss at the biggest views. I'll be the biggest views. So anyway, I haven't replied to him. I'm going to do it right now. I put call me, Joe, and we'll see if he responds. If not, I'll leave him something on Facebook, and that's it. Yes, we all know about what 2 days they're talking about. Anthony, God bless you. Be safe, buddy. Thanks for coming by. Thank you, buddy. And thank you for that intro. I love it. I saw that and said, oh, that's great. Yes, 2 days. That's the way it is. So, feedback, Phil. Hi, Duke. Great show. Are you here? Big guy? Duke or dog? Working title, November 63, John McShane. It should be called 3 Days in November. There you are. Come on. My big guy. Say hi to the world, Duke. He's got his ball in his mouth. His legs are very much, he's perched on my leg like a bird. But yeah. Oh yeah, don't attack me. I don't need that much loving. Don't climb on me. I'm not a jungle gym. I just wanted to pet you. I know. They say leave sleeping dogs lie. Yes, you're right. It was the Wemette project, and Wemette's no longer a part of the project. But Joe is an authority on everything. His brother's actually doing it. Nick Spilotro, and Junior. And Joe's always on the inside. He always knows what's going on. After all, it's his brother. So, and I don't know whether you know it or not, but the Spilotros are related to the Giancondas. So, I think it was on his mother's side. She was related to the Giancondas. Big guy. Yeah, Shepard's do. He likes anything with his security. It's like his security ball. He hangs on to it. Come on, look at the camera. Smile at the camera. What if I take your ball? Okay, you can have your ball back. You want your ball back? Take your ball, Duke. Take it. Take your ball. He's waiting for me to throw his ball. Now that I threw it, our shepherd is to say, I don't doubt it. He has some characteristics that are really, that's a fact. Travolta is playing Roselli. But we can get the lowdown from Joe Spilotro. He'll be glad to, he's waiting in line. So Tim Peroni says, the last chapter in the book of Double Cross, talking about people going from Chicago to Texas. If that's what it is, if you know what it's about, I will talk to him and we will do what we have to do. And I'm going to tell him if he wants to do it Monday, we can. Anyway, folks, thank all of you for stopping by. It's a pleasure. I really enjoy seeing you. Probably much more than you enjoy seeing me. John McShane. You can't wait. You've been telling people about Double Cross since you read it. Yeah, it was dynamic. I didn't believe everything that was in it. There's some things that I thought I just took a difference on. But, you know, you got to remember, nobody was really alive, or nobody is alive, that really told the stories. It is what it is. So, Kathy Jean, enjoy your weekend. Later, guys. Great show. Thank you, guys. And meanwhile, guys and gals, it's Red Wemette out. And we'll see you Monday. God bless.
The combination of the videotapes and Wemette's testimony resulted in the conviction of 2 men on extortion charges. One of them was Frank Schweiz, known in syndicate circles as the German, a feared mob terrorist and a suspect in a number of gangland murders.
He was described to me by other outfit individuals as the most feared hitman. And as he said to me, my reputation precedes me, son.